Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this is the first part of my Next.js series where we will be doing project-based learning. And in the first part, we will cover the basics and fundamentals of Next.js 15, like why Next.js is popular, its growing job market. We will cover the project setup and understand the folder structure. We will master the app router and understand the basic difference between the server component, client component, and server functions. By the end of this video, we will lay down the foundation of our project. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel or press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so we start with the basic question, what is Next.js? So Next.js is a React framework for building full stack web applications. We use React components to build user interfaces and Next.js for additional features and optimizations. Now why you should learn Next.js 15? So it provides you the full stack capabilities with React. You can use the API routes and create easily the backend endpoints without a separate server. Next is the improved performance and SEO. It provides you the faster page load and better SEO than the traditional SPAs. Next, we have the built-in routing and layouts. The app router of Next.js will provide you a simplified file-based routing with nested layouts, streaming, and suspense. And with this, you also get the middleware to handle authentication and redirects. The next one is the growing job market. So there is a huge demand of Next.js developers and it is being increasing year on year. So according to the LinkedIn and the Stack Overflow statistics, there has been a 40% increase in the job demand with the skills of Next.js. And last, it has the ecosystem and the community. Next.js is maintained by Vercel and it ensures a continuous improvement in the framework. Then it has a large community. There are tons of tutorials available and a lot of integrations with the Auth.js, Prisma. Now we have learned about what is Next.js. So for using Next.js, what we will need is we will need a Node.js and you can just download the latest some support. I already have Node.js in my machines. So if I go to my Visual Studio Code and if I do node-v, then it will going to give me the version of the Node.js that I am using. Along with the Node.js, you will also get the npm, which is a node package manager. So we can also do the npm-v and get the version. Now, in order to bootstrap our next application, the quickest way we can do is using the create next app. So what I will do is you can use npx and you can have a create next app. If create next app is not installed, then it is going to prompt you to install it. You can just go ahead and install it. Once it is installed, you can just use it with the npx create next app, and then I'm going to have the @latest. All right, so first it is asking me that I need to install the following package. So what I will do is I'm going to hit yes and go ahead. All right, so the package is installed. The next we need to do is give a app name. So I'm going to have my next app. So I'm just giving a random name. You can choose any name you want. Then I'm going to hit enter, and here it is asking me that would you like to use a TypeScript, yes or no. I would like to use TypeScript, so I will just enter yes. If you don't want to use TypeScript, just go with no. Then I'm going to hit enter. Next it is asking me that you need an ESLint, so it is for the linting so that it will give you all the linting errors. Then yes, I will be using Tailwind CSS to style the components, so I'm going to go yes. And next is, would you like to have your code inside the source directory? Yes, I like to have my code in the source directory. It's an option, you can choose no. But in most of our project, we have the files into the source directory. So I'm going to hit yes. Then would you like to use an app router? Yes, we will be using an app router as it's a recommended. So I'm going to hit yes. Next is, do you want to use a turbo pack for Next.js dev? It's optional. You can use yes or no. There is no recommendation for it. I'm going to go with yes. Next is, would you like to customize the import alias? By default is @. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to customize. I want to go with the default. So now after giving all the answers, what it's doing is it's initiating the project with the template app TW. All right, then it's installing the dependencies like React, React DOM, and Next. And there are a few dev dependencies like TypeScript, types for the node, React, React DOM, and Tailwind CSS. Since all the packages have been installed and we have created a successfully Next app. So that's very simple how you can bootstrap your Next app. Now what we will do is I'm going to open the folder in my Visual Studio Code. Alright, so this is how my folder structure look like for the next step that we have created. Let's go to the project and each of the files one by one And let's understand them. So we start with the TypeScript config JSON file where you have all the configuration that are related to the TypeScript. And you must be very familiar with this because if you're a React developer, then you are building projects using TypeScript. So we have this TypeScript file. Next, we have the readme, which is the default file we get it with the project. Then for the post CSS config, this is being used in order to using the Tailwind CSS into our project. Then we have the package JSON file. Now in the package JSON file, you have the application name and everything. Then you have few scripts. Now these scripts, we are using a turbo pack because we have selected yes there. So that's why you have next dev turbo pack. Then you have the build. So if you want to build your application for production, then you can just use the next build. You have the start, which is the next start. After having the next build on production, if you want to start, you use the next start. Then if you want to use the linting, you use next lint. You can see that I'm using the version 19 of React. So it could be that when you see this video, the version could have been different. Then for the Next.js, it's a Next.js 15, so version 15. And there are a few dev dependencies which we need for our project. Then we will go to the next config TS. So here you are going to do any configuration that you need in your Next.js application. It is very similar like how we create the Vite projects. We have a Vite config file, and inside the Vite config file, if we want to use the, let's say if we want to use a 10 stack router, we have a plugin of the 10 stack router which we use it in our Vite config. So in that sense, a very similar way, any configuration that you need for your next project, you can put it in this next config ts file. Then there is a next env.t.ts file, and this should not be edited. It contains the TypeScript references, so you can just keep it as it is. Don't do anything with this. You have a get ignore file. So these are all the files that are outside our source directory. Before we going to the source directory, I will want to show you the public folder. In the public folder, there is not much here. You will see all the SVG files that we get it by default with the project. All right, let's go to the source folder. Now, if we go to the source folder, you will see that we have selected that we want to use the app routing of Next.js, which is the recommended one. That's why you will see that you have a /app here. Now with this, you will have a fav icon, which is a very tiny icon when you run a web page on a browser, and you see a small tiny icon there. I will show you where it is. You have a global CSS file which contains all the default CSS for your Next.js app. Then you actually have a layout TSX. So this is basically the layout of your page that you will see it on the browser, which will actually contains the HTML markup of the page. If I go to the layout and if I scroll down, you will see the actual HTML page that will be rendered on your browser. And in this, you will see that you will have the children's. So anything that is inside the page is going to render as a children to this layout. All right, so this is basically a root layout you will have. Now, this also provides you the metadata support. So that's where it is said that Next.js is not like any other traditional SPAs that we build. It has a support for the SEO improvements. So you can have your metadata for a page. Let's say for our application, we are having simply create next app generated by create next app. We can change it to anything. Let's say I want to change it to we are going to build a project here. So our project is something like called contact manager. All right, I'm going to change it to contact manager, and here what I will do is I will have a simple contact manager application. All right, you will see that I have few suggestions while typing something. The reason behind is I'm using a GitHub Copilot, so that's why I get suggestions just to speed up my development. All right, so we have this one. Then we also saw the page where page will be as a children rendered in the layout.tsx. All right, so this page, now this has some JSX which we have written here, and that will be rendered on the screen. You also have an image component which you get it from the next image, and that you can just use it. I will show you later on how we do that. Now we have done with our project structure, and we have understood what exactly Next.js application folder structure look like, and this will be pretty similar for majority of the applications that you will see or you will work on. Now let's run this application on the local server. So I'm going to go to the terminal, and here what I will do is I'm going to have the npm run dev so that I can start my local development server. So I'm going to hit enter, and here you will see that my next app is running, and then it will give you the local host, and it will also provide you the network URL. I can go to the localhost part, so I'm going to copy. I will go to my browser, And I will go here, and if I add it and if I hit it, then you will see that this is my next application homepage, which I get it by default with our create next app. I will remove this one. Now I want to show you one thing here, that if we let me minimize this, and if we go here and let's say you want to create some environment files, so what you can do is you can simply go to your root, and then you can just have your .env, and for local you can have .env.local. You will see that it's a grayed out because this file is not going to push to a GitHub, because this is already included in the git ignore. So anything which starts with .env will be ignored. So you can create all the environment files for local, for development, for production, and you can just provide this suffix to that. So now next I want to show you is about the pages and the layouts. So we are using the app router. That means anything you put it inside the app, it is going to take your file-based routing. Now, if you want to go with the files-based routing, what you will do is, for let's say we have an app and then we have a page. So this page will be rendered as a route, which is the slash route. So this is a slash and this is being rendered. Now let's say you want to add something more. What I will do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to create, let's say we are going to build a contact manager application and I want a route as contact. All right. So when I hit enter, now inside the contact, what I want to do is I want to create a new contact, or I want to list all the contacts. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a pages here .tsx. All right. As soon as I create a page.tsx, and if I want to go to this route, what I will do is I'm going to just do an RSC to get some data on the page. So I'm going to have this as a contact page, and let's have a contact page here, and I'm going to change this to contact page. All right, I have a very simple contact page here. Now how this routing will happen is it's a file-based routing. So we will go and we will check. So I go here, I'm going to have slash and I'm going to have a contact here. So let me have a contact and hit enter. All right, and if I refresh it, I see a 404. Could be I made a mistake. So this should be a page, not pages. So you have to be very careful while giving the name. All right, I have a page.tsx. Now if I go here, then you will see you have a contact page. Now if you want to go for a nested route, let's say you have a slash contact, then you need to create a contact, a new contact. So what I will do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to create a folder which will be new. And inside the new, what I will do is I'm going to create again a page.tsx. Now I'm going to use RSC, and here what I will do is I'm going to change this to new contact page. I'm going to copy and I will put new contact page here. And now if I want to try, so I have a contact, and if I go to slash new, then you will see you have a new contact page. So you need to understand that whatever the folder structure you create, so for that folder structure, what we will have is we are going to have the app, which is the slash, as a root segment. Then we have a contact. So this contact is known as a segment. Then we have another segment, and then we actually have the page. Now there is also that you need to create a dynamic. So let's say I want to go for and edit a particular contact. So what I will do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a new folder, and that folder will be, let's say, edit, and inside the edit I want to have the ID. So what I will do is I'm going to create a folder, and this time I'm going to use a slug. So this is we called as a slug, and it takes a dynamic value. So let's have an ID here. Now inside this I need to create my page. So let me have a page.tsx. All right, now for this page.tsx, let's try to have RSC, and I'm going to give a name as edit contact page. I'm going to copy and I'm going to put it here. Now if I go here, let's have this as edit/1, and if I hit enter, then you will see that we have the edit. So let me zoom this a little bit. You see that we have the edit contact page. Now if I want to go back, for this one we don't have any route. If we go to the contact, we have a contact page route. If we go to /new, we have a new contact page. So this is how your file-based routing works. So you have a root segment, then you have a segment, and then you have a slug. All right, and this is how you do the dynamic routing as well. So for that, I mean, if I want to go to the edit and I want to go to second contact, then you will also see the edit contact page. The next part I want to show you is that while doing this routing, you want to have some group of pages together. Let's say you want to have an authentication grouping. So for that, what we will do is we are going to create a folder. So I'm going to go to the app again, and this time I'm going to create a folder like this. and I'm going to have the auth. So this will not be visible on the URL. So like you have a contact which is visible here, but in this case the auth will not be visible because when you add the parenthesis, it becomes a optional groupism. So it just used for the grouping of similar kind of a pages. So in this, let me create some pages. So what I will do is I'm going to create a login page. So let me have here login. All right, and inside this I'm going to create a page. So let me have a page.tsx. all right, I'm going to use RSC, and here I'm going to have the login page. So let me have login page. I'm going to copy, put it here, and I'm going to put it here. All right, now if I want to go for a login, what I will do is I'm going to do slash, and I'm not going to write auth/login. I'm not going to do that. I will simply use the login, and you see we have a login page. So that's how you do the groupisms. Now this groupism can be of any type. You have a pages that are related to the services, then you will have a service group. You have want a pages that are related to the authentication, you will have an authentication group. So that's the another point. Now does that mean that anything that you create under a app folder will be a routable component? So it's not like that. So let's say you're creating something, you created a contact, then you had an edit, you had a page, and you were able to route to that particular page. Now I want something which I don't want to be a routable. So for that, what I can do is I can go here simply. Let's say I create a register. So I will have a register.tsx. Now if I go RSC and I will have register, let me give here as register. Now do you think that this register will also be routable? Let's go and let's check. So if I go here and I simply go to register, does it go to a route of a register page? No, it doesn't go to a register route page. So if you want to make anything which should be routable under the app directory, then it always has to be a page.tsx. Only pages can be routable, or the other thing is you can have a route.js which can be routable. So let me try something. What I will do is I'm going to have the API. So let me go here and I'm going to create a API folder here. This is just for an example. I'm going to delete it, and inside the API you can have a route.js. So let me have a route.js or route.tsx. All right, I have a route.tsx. Let me go to RSC. Let me have the route here. All right, now one thing we know that in Next.js app router, anything which has a page.tsx, that will get routable, and the one which doesn't have a page.tsx, that is a non-routable page. Okay, so in this case register was not routable, but login was routable. All right, so we have this. Now here what we need to do is we need to export any HTTP method. So let's say I have an export constant, and here instead of this, what I will do is I'm going to have a post. All right, or maybe I will have a get, and here I will not put anything, and in the return what we will do is let's return something. So whenever we call this, we want to do a next response. So we're going to be using next response dot JSON. All right, and in this let's have this one. We have a hello message, hello from this API, and all those things. All right, now I'm going to just remove this. All right, now if you want to give a try, what we can do is I'm going to go here, and here I'm going to have the API, and here you will see that you already get the message, hello, this is from the API route, status success. All right, so that's how you can basically either you can route to a page, or you can have a route for an API which is a route.tsx. Rest all other things which you create here are not routable. So rest everything like register.tsx is not routable. So this is one of the thing what is routable and what cannot be routable into your app router. All right, so I hope you get this point. Now the next part what I want to show you is the image. I mean, image optimization is very good in Next.js, and how you can use the image is let's simply go to the page.tsx. If you want to image, what you will do is you will always import an image component which will be coming from the next image. All right, once you have that image, you can use the image as simply image tag, and it will provide you the size optimization. It is going to load automatically the size that is needed for a browser. Next, it is also provide you the visual stability and provides you the faster page load, and all the resizing will be based on the demand. Now here one thing you need to understand is that if you want to image, what you can do is if your file is in the public, so if your file is in the public, you can simply use the file name like /next.svg, because my file is in the public. Then you need to provide an width and height, and then that's all. You will be able to see the image on your browser. Let's go and let's check that. If I go and if I want to go to a home page, then I have this image, the Next.js image. All right, so that's how you can just simply use the image. Now, how to add the CSS part? All right, now if you want to add a CSS, there are multiple ways to add CSS. I'm going to show you a couple of ways. So the first way is obviously if we go and see the global CSS, where you can add all the CSS that you need for your entire application. But there's another way also, and which is the module based CSS. So let me show you how you can add the CSS using the module type. So what you can do is, let's say if I go to the login, and inside the login I want to add some CSS. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to create a new file here, and I can name the file as maybe login module.css. all right, now in this module login.css, let me give some kind of a CSS, and if I give a .login to something, it will take a padding of 20 pixel, and along with that it will also have a font, let's say the font size, and font size will be larger. All right, this is what the CSS looks like. Now if I want to use this in my page.tsx, so how you can do is, first you need to import it. So I'm going to go here and I will have the import styles from page module. Now instead of this page module, I'm going to change this to login module.css. all right, so we have this. Now what I will do is, I'm going to use here the class name. So I will have the class name, and in the class name I will use the styles dot login. So I was having the login. All right, now let's go and let's see. So if I go here and if I go to the login page, and if I hit enter, then you will see that I have now padding here. So if I go and inspect, and if here, and we see that this is what the CSS looks like. So this is the other way also. You can use this CSS styling for your components or for your pages. The next thing which I want to show you is the server components. So how you create server components into your application, into your Next application. So before going to the server components, I want to show you that you can have server components. So let me have here server components. Then you have that if you want to render a component on a client, then you use a client component. And the last one is the server action. So I have the server actions. So these are the three things which we need to learn here. First one is the server components. So by default, when I create any of the components, let's say I created this login page component. This component by default will be rendered as a server component. You need to understand that whenever you create a simple page or you create a simple component, that is by default is a server component. You don't have to go here and then use server. So here you will say that this is a server component. So you don't have to do that, use server. All right. Unlike for the component, if you want to make a component a client component, you go there and you use client. All right. But for the server component, you don't have to write use server, because by default the component is a server component. Okay. Next thing, if you want to go for a client component, so which components will be the client components? Usually the components where you have a form interaction, where you have an events. Let's say you have a form for our I will go to the contact, and I have a new contact, and here you are going to have some kind of a contact form. Then in such cases, you need to create a client component, and for that you will have a directive which is the use client. All right, the next one is the server functions. So server functions are basically, these are the regular functions will be executed on the server side. So they will not be on the client side, they will be on the server side. And where exactly you can use these server functions? Let's say you have a form action, and that action could be your server action. So you want to submit some data to the server because you filled some form, you want to submit that data to the server. You can use a server action. The server action will take the user filled data, and then you can do anything with that data. You can either use an API call for that data, or you can directly connect to a database and you can just insert the data into the database. So here is the basic difference: server components, client components, and the server actions. So we will be building the project, then you will see more where are we using the server components, where are we using the client components, where we need to use the server actions and everything. So I think now we have a basic essence of the Next.js, and it's time to build the project and start doing the project-based learning. All right. So what we will do is we are going to create a simple contact manager application that will have a contact page where you can create a new contact. You can edit a contact, update, delete, and everything. All right. And for that, we are not going to use any database, but we are going to use a JSON server, because JSON server will allow us to do all the CRUD operations. So what I will do is I'm going to quickly create a JSON server and create the data part first. So we're going to go to the app, and in the app I'm going to create a new folder which will be the underscore data. Now why we do a underscore here? Because whenever you do an underscore for any folder, this folder becomes a private. All right, so this becomes a private. This will not be publicly accessible. This contact can be publicly accessible, but this data will not be publicly accessible. All right, now inside this I'm going to create a db.json. So let me have a db.json file. All right, now in this I'm going to create two things. First one will be a contact array, and the second one will be the, so let me have the contacts array. So I'm going to have a contact array. All right, let's create a simple contact. So I'm going to have a ID, name, let's have an email. So I'm going to have a john@test.com, and who basically created this contact. So I'm going to have a user ID. The user who is creating this contact, that will be the user ID. So let me have the user ID, and we are doing this user ID because we are going to create authentication as well. So a user can log in and then he can create contacts for him. Then there will be another user who can create their contacts, and you can only see the contacts that are created by you. So that's why I'm going to have here as one. All right, and we're going to keep all as string. So I'm going to have the string here, and I will also have the string here. This is a very simple contact. Our contact data structure will look like. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another object which will be the users. So these are all our users that are going to log in. All right, so I'm going to have the users, and what I will do here is now for the user we will have the ID, we will have the name of the user. So I'm going to just change this username as a simple user. All right, I will keep it as a user1. Then I'm going to have the email address and password. So for the email address I'm going to have the user1@gmail.com, and let's have a password. So for the sake of simplicity we are going to keep the password as 123456. So this is a very simple user, and then we have a contact here. Now we need to have a JSON server. So I have already installed a JSON server on my machine. So what you can do is you can also install npm install JSON server, and then can have JSON server. So what I will do is I'm going to go to my package.json file, and in the package.json file I'm going to create one more script that will run my JSON server. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, I will have the server, then on the server I'm going to have the JSON server, and I'm going to use this watch. I'm going to give my source with the path of my db.json file. Host is not required, we can just remove that. All right, now let's go and let's give a try to run the JSON server. So what I will do is I'm going to have the npm run server, and we see that we have our endpoints ready. So we have two endpoints. We have the contacts endpoint. So I'm going to copy, go to the browser and add this. So I have this my contact. Then I will also have my users. So I'm going to have the /users, and I have the users. All right, so our JSON server is ready. Now on this JSON server we can just use the CRUD operations and create contacts and users and everything. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now the next thing what we need to do is let's create the simple home page which is going to display that we are going to create some contact manager app and all this. So I'm going to go back here, and I will just minimize this for now. And here what we will do is we are going to have a layout. All right, I will see the layout here, and we will just remove all the layout part which we don't want. Now before removing, I want to show you that how we use the images. The similar way we can also use the font from the Next. So here you will see that you have the font which is from the Next font Google, and you can just use this fonts like this. All right, now I will just remove it. We are not using it, so I will remove it. Okay, I will just remove this. We don't want them. Now the metadata part. So the metadata is we have the contact manager and a simple contact manager application. Let me remove this as well so that we don't get the errors. And after removing this, I'm going to simply create a div. Let me add a div, and we are going to have the children inside the div. Okay, now you want to see that where exactly we can see the meta. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to refresh, and here you will see that we have the contact manager here. All right, if I do a source of this page, so let's have the view page source. All right, now here we can just search for it. So I will have the contact manager. So here you will see that we have the meta name, description, and the content is this one. So this is where we exactly see the meta part. All right, and this basically helps in the SEO as well to do the Google ranking, and when the web scraper come to your website, it helps you to scraping your website information. Let's go back now. Here what we will do is we have the meta part, and the first thing we need to do is let's simply create a navigation bar so that we can navigate between the pages first. So I'm going to go here and I will have the class name. I'm going to have the minimum height. I'm going to give a vertical height of screen, and I'm going to have the background gray 50. All right, so this is going to give me a gray background, and here I will also need a navigation bar. So I'm going to use a navigation bar. To create a nav bar, what we will do is we are going to create another private folder. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to have underscore components, and here all the reusable components that I will use. So I'm going to go here and I will have the navbar.tsx. all right, I'm going to use rsc to get the component, and I'm going to have the navbar here. All right, I have a simple navbar. I can use that navbar here. So I will have the navbar. Okay, and with this I will also create a main here, and on the main what I will do is I'm going to give the container max auto, and let me give the padding on x-axis as 4, and I will give the padding on y-axis as 8. All right, and then we will just close this main so that our layout will be ready. All right, so our layout is ready. If we go, then we see a login page here and we see a nav bar here, but this is how basically our layout will look like. Now the next part what we need to do is we need to create our navigation bar so that we can have all our links and everything. So I'm going to go to the nav bar, and on the nav bar what we will do is let's have the JSX first. So I'm going to have a simple nav here, and I'm going to give a class name to it. Let's give a background white, and I'm going to give a shadow. Now after this let's create a div. I'm going to give a class name to this div. Let me have a container max auto, padding as 4. Let's give a flex, justify between, and items as center. Now after that what we will do is we need to create a link first for the contact manager. All right, so what I will do is I'm going to have a link tag here. So I want to create a link. You have a next link which is going to give you a link component. All right, and in this link component let me have the href, and what I will do is I'm going to have the text as XL. I want to give the font as bold, and I will change this to blue, and I will keep this as 600. All right, now we need to end this link tag, so let me have the link tag end. Okay, and we have a contact manager here. Let's go and let's check. So we have this contact manager here. Now with this what I will do is I'm going to create a constant here, and I will have the session, and I'm going to just use the session for now as true. All right, we are also going to create the user authentication and manage the session, but for now let's have that we have a session and we gave a session as true. All right, so here what we need to do is if a user is logged in, we don't want to show the user the login link again. We just want to show the user the logout link. So I will have a div, and let me have a class name. I'm going to give a flex, items as center, and space x4. And in this let's create a condition that if we have a session, and if that session is true, we want to display some JSX. If not, we want to display some other JSX. And in this what we will do is first let's have a link. All right, and that link will go to the href. So I'm going to use the link, and that link will go to the contact, and we have some classes here. Let me remove this one. All right, we have the hover text blue 600, and let's give a margin right as 8. Okay, and in this link what I want is I will have the contacts. Okay, so this is going to show me all the contacts. Then we will also need to have a login button. So let me create one more component that will give me a login button. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have the login button dot tsx. All right, for now I will just keep an rsc for a login button so that I will just get a login button. So I will have the login button. I'm not putting anything more here. And the second one I want is I will simply have the, sorry, it should be a logout button. So my bad, we have to change this to log out, because for logout we are not having any specific page where it will go. For login it will go to a login form, but for the logout it will just go to the logout. I mean, it will just clear the session. So that's why we will just have a logout. All right, let's change this to logout. Okay, now we come here and we use the logout here. So I have the logout button. Okay, it did not auto import it. Let me do it again. So I have the logout button. Okay, now in case if the session is not true and if the session is false, that means the user is not logged in. We need to send the user to a login. Okay, so we will have a login and then we have a /register. I'm going to change this hover 600 and I will have this 5, and this is something it will look like. Alright, so now let's go and let's check. So if I go here, then we see if we hover it, we see the contacts. We see that the color of the text is not correct. So what I will do is we will just go to the globals and we are just going to remove all the CSS. We don't want them. Alright, so I will just remove everything and I will keep it as it is. Now we see we have a contacts and we have a login button. And if we go and we have the session as false, and if I refresh, then we see we have a login and we have a register. All right, so we have done this one. The navbar is done. Now in the next video, we are going to start with the authentication of our application. We are going to do the user authentication and we see how we create the server action for authentication and session management. So that's all I have in this video. I hope you liked the video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest updates. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.